We're back now with Rachel Crooks, Samantha Holvey, and Jessica Leeds. Jessica, one of the attacks they launched on you was to say, originally you said that he lifted the armrests between you and that the first-class armrests don't go up, that they stay down. Your response to that?
I don't remember what happened to the armrest. All I remember is that it was gone. Later on, somebody else came out from Boeing and said on the 707, which is what the plane was, that the first class didn't have armrests at all.
There was also a man named Anthony Gilbertthorpe, a British man, who claimed that he had an excellent memory, that he was on the flight, he saw nothing improper. He did say if he saw anything, he would have stopped it. I should note for the record, in 2014, he went public with a claim that as a 17-year-old, he used to procure young boys for sex parties with British politicians. But your reaction to that claim?
Well, there again, if he was on that airplane, he was 17 years old, a British citizen, paying first class. I don't think so. And he also said that I was wearing a white suit, which I've never owned a white suit. You know, I think it's one of those, somebody trying to get in on the story.
Mm-hmm.
So
let me ask you this, because you know, the statement says, look, the American people voiced their judgment by delivering a victory to him. The American public was put in a position of having to choose between a man who'd been accused of sexual misconduct by 16 plus women, Donald Trump, or a woman who was alleged to have enabled a husband accused repeatedly of sexual assault and even rape. That was the reality of 2016. Do you think the Trump campaign did a good job of nullifying all of you by bringing up the Bill Clinton accusers?
Yes. Yes, they did. But I'd like to stop here for a moment, if I could, because my story is so old that I was frankly shocked when I got a response. I had fired off an email to the Times, New York Times editorial, the letters to the editor, after your, I think, debate where you and Anderson Cooper were
Anderson Cooper asked him about the Access Hollywood tape. I asked him about his misogyny a year earlier.
Right, and he tried to ignore it. He tried to talk about Syria, which was interesting, and but you didn't let him off the hook. And he answered and said, no way, he didn't do that. I mean, and I was so angry, I was jumping up at the TV, didn't sleep that night. The next day I said, I'll write a letter to the editor. And that's how my story got out. But this is my observation, and that is, as I said, my story is so old. But I have talked to a lot of people, not the women from Trump, because as we said, this is the first time we've had any contact with each other. But I've talked to businesswomen, I've talked to friends, I've talked to the ladies at the Y, I've talked to everybody. Mm-hmm. And I've discovered that everybody has a story. And not only that, and I've said this before, it doesn't matter when it happened, whether they were 8 years old or whether they were 35 or whether they were older. They remember when it happened, they remember who it happened with, they remember where it was, they remember what they had on.
It's more difficult for women who come forward against a politician running for office. There's more blowback, right? Because people jump to the conclusion, and in some cases it's true. In some cases it's true that there's a political motivation driving the accusation, but not all. And you know, that's the problem for not just Donald Trump, but for the voters who wanted to vote for him. Maybe there's a greater inclination to write off the accusations because they want somebody who they believe is going to fight for a pro-life platform or for lower taxes, although taxes just went up. You know, those types of things, right? And we're seeing it right now with Roy Moore in Alabama, for whom President Trump just campaigned, for whom President Trump just recorded a robocall saying, get out there and vote for this man who's been accused by multiple women of sexual assault against girls as young as 14 years old. 14. The man's up 3 points and is expected to become our next United States Senator. Your thoughts on that in the wake of your accusations?
I mean, it gives me goosebumps. It gives me goosebumps whenever they say that, because it's just like, where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line as women coming together in this country saying, no, we don't want to be treated like that anymore. We no longer accept this. It's happened long enough. No. When does that happen?
Well, when you saw it happening this fall, the Me Too movement exploding, What were your thoughts?
I was like, I did my Me Too on TV. I don't need to do a Facebook status. I put myself out there for the entire world, and nobody cared. So to me, it was just like, you know, it was nice that the country as a whole, like women were coming out of the shadows to say that they had had similar experiences. And for men, I feel like it was a wake-up call for men. I have so many good guy friends that had no idea that this was our day-to-day lives.
Do you think if President Trump, if that election were this month instead of November 16, there would have been a different result?
There might have been, but I think politicians seem to be immune to this, right? I mean,
Well,
all these other...
Franken was forced to resign. Conyers out.
Exactly, but maybe politicians of a certain background seem to not be held accountable, and I think that's sad. I mean, this is bigger than politics.
Brent Franks, he's a Republican. Of course, you can't ask. I think that's who it was who was asking women to act as surrogates for his baby. Okay, sorry. It's tough to keep track. So it happens in both parties.
Yes.
But when you're talking about the presidency, there's a certain level of the train is moving, and people want that train, you know? And this happened a month before the election. And I just wonder whether you think if it happened under the current climate, he still would have won.
I would hope so, but you know, you can be very cynical. The United States has gone through a lot of, over its 250 years, we've gone through a lot of scandal, and a lot of scandals that included presidents. I would like to remark that John F. Kennedy is still thought to be the star, and some of the stories that have come out about him, if they had been published during his...
Even Gloria Steinem is standing by her defense of Bill Clinton, accused of rape, accused of rape. And so that gives you sort of a window into how politics can color each of these situations. We have just a little bit more time. We're going to save it on the opposite side of this break.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.